Hello, all of you sovereign beings of light. As you can tell, I'm back in my home office for now, my home studio, and we'll see what happens in the future if I'm still renting my house out here and there as a way to offset my finances. And my son's back in his last year of high school, and I've got myself settled back into my home, at least for the next 9 months while I travel and teach. And I have some very, very exciting things coming to Fearless and Free TV. Can't really share them with you yet because I'm working on just tweaking the final shows, but they are going to be very exciting shows. It's not just me. So when I started Fearless and Free TV a couple of years ago, it was pretty much just me doing my teaching and the channel messages that come through me and having really amazing conversations with other healers and spiritual teachers. And now I've got the guidance to spread my wings and bring on some other very interesting shows, but I can't tell you what they are yet because I haven't finalized them. They're up here. Before I talk about today's message, I wanted to let everybody know that my Transcendence class is still open. There's a couple more spots still available. It's a very small class. I only have 10 or less students, and I do that because I want to make sure everybody gets plenty of personal time to talk about their issues. We do issue resolution. It's basically a transcendence process. It's how you, 3D to 5D. It's the process of getting from the fear-based third density reality to the love-based 5 density reality, and what I call moving up the spiritual spiral. So that class is coming up. And I do one-on-one sessions too for people who are looking for personal sessions. Okay, so enough about me. I had a great message come in this morning from Yeshua and what I call my team. This is a team of light. I telepathically communicate with the group of ascended masters and guardians in the council chambers. And these are in what I now know. I didn't know at the time where these council chambers were, but now I know they're in the New Jerusalem, which is a city that's in the 5th dimensional frequency. And we just can't see it because it's out of our present dimension. But this is where many of the guardians are who are watching over Earth. This is where a lot of the conversations take place of what's happening on Earth. There's what I call the spiritual situation room, where they're kind of looking at the game plan and seeing how things are working out here. So the amazing thing about what's happening on Earth right now is we have so many beings who have incarnated in human form to help lead humanity forward. There's a lot of angelics and benevolent beings here who have taken on human form because it was too difficult to try to inspire humans to make better choices. So a lot of beings have incarnated in human form to kind of lead humanity through this ascension process. And there are also a lot of light beings in the skies, if you will, who are assisting humanity through this ascension process. And I work with what I call the guardians of light, and they are the guardians of Earth and the ascension process. So one of them is Yeshua. Today it was Yeshua, Saint Germain, Gabriel, and my twin flame Arcturus. And we had this conversation about what's happening on the Earth plane. And it's really interesting. So this came in about 6 o'clock this morning before I knew anything about the Queen. The Queen, as we know, has left the planet, and things are going to be really different. It feels like this is a huge shift for humanity. And I remember hearing a few months ago that was going to be a marker for a shift in the entire consciousness on the planet. So I find that really interesting that this is the message that came through this morning. I'm going to go ahead and read it to you. What I do is I bring in messages and I scribble them on my notebook, and then my writing is even hard for me to read. So I put it in my computer, clean it up so I can actually read it to you. So I'm going to go ahead and read that to you now. And afterwards, I might have a few things to say about the visuals that I was seeing when this message came in, because I get the words that come through, and I also get kind of visuals that come with it to show me what it is they're trying to tell me. And this particular message, they're showing me a card game and how this game is being played and what's playing out on the Earth realm and why it's being played out the way that it is. So I'm going to go ahead and read this to you now. I'm calling this the final play of the game. Good morning, dear one, and all the dear ones with whom this message will be shared and go forward across the airwaves and across all space and time. The hearts of humanity are being cracked open and healed, even when this does not appear to be so. Yes, the darkness does work on behalf of the light. The darkness is showing its hand for light to transmute it. Be not afraid, for we are with you always. Know that your team of light are coordinating your path. Know this, dear ones, that all really is well. All the unfoldment of the dark agenda is indeed showing itself for transmutation. All their plans are being laid out on the table for all the world to see. They believe they have the upper hand and they are untouchable. No, dear ones, this is not the case. They are playing out their cards in a game they cannot and will not win. You are simply seeing them lay their losing cards out on the table. The cards have all been shuffled and dealt, and they are simply playing out the final plays. All or nothing. They have their best players at the table and are in the final showdown. We have the ace card, the alpha card, that will put an end to the game of charades. Their game of pretend is over. We, the guardians of light, have the full support of the creator of all that is to put an end to the game of contrast. We have the royal flush of hearts in hand. It is unbeatable. We have yet to play the ace of hearts that will bring down their game. As they fold, you will see the blood on their hands, and humanity will be set free from its enslavement to fear. This is the final phase of the Great Awakening, when all of humanity is brought to its knees and awakened from their long, dark slumber. The dark night of the collective soul is nearing an end, and no one can sleep through the shake-awake, as you call it. Everyone will be shaken by the great apocalypse, the great revealing of all things once foretold. Those attempting to hide their dirt will expose themselves in their arrogance, believing they stack the cards in their favor. They have not. We've allowed them this illusion, so they act out their game, out in plain sight, for all the world to see. They are exposing their cards out in the open and cannot withdraw them. We have their playbook. We know their cards. They've been dealt. We see the cards they've discarded and the final cards they have left to play. They are simply playing out the few cards that remain, laying each card on the table, exposing their plan. By laying it on the table, it is no longer a secret, and the whole world can see how they've been played. Remember, dear ones, just as in a game of cards, by showing a card, that card can no longer be played. They cannot retract it. It's out there on the table for all the world to see. All that remains are their best cards, all playing against each other in a house of light. On the surface, to those who are watching the dark game, it appears they are working as a team against the light. They are not, and this will be their downfall. One by one, they will fold. They may try to cheat, lie, and call each other out as their makeshift house of cards fall. It was built on quicksand and not sustainable. Their foundation is crumbling and there's nothing left to support them. On the surface, they look like friends, all playing the game together and celebrating each other's wins as they take down the house of Gaia. But they bet all their winnings on this last play of the contest, the final play of the final game. As they start to fold, you will see them begin to attack each other. All bets are off as they begin to panic and go at each other's throats like rabid dogs. This will no longer be a gentleman's game and will become cutthroat as each one starts to fold. Stay dignified, dear ones, as greed begins to collapse. Hold yourselves above the fray as all their plans collapse under the weight of their own fear. They will take down each other, force each other to play their final cards, and we will watch quietly as they lose it, knowing we have the final play. They will finally all resign, and all winnings go to the hands of light. The riches and spoils go to the winner. You are all simply now watching the end, the final moves of the game play out. Do not allow yourselves to be sucked in by the fear. It is their nightmare playing out, not yours. It is the end of their world, not yours. We are holding you all in our arms. We have created a bridge to prevent as many as possible from falling into the dark abyss of their dog-eat-dog fight. Yes, this is a poor image, and yet the dog in the fight and the fight in the dog is an allegory humans use and understand. You see in your musings an image of the dogs playing poker with their fancy hats and suits. The dog's point of view not shared in the picture is white with angel wings. That is us. That is the light. The other dogs until now have been enjoying their game, patting each other on the back for every game well played. Not this time. The unseen white dog with its viewpoint will show its winning hand, and you will see the other top dogs go at each other, and the game will come to an end. Focus on that, dear ones. Humans need something to envision, and we are giving you that vision to focus on and energize. We, those working on behalf of the true light of God, have the upper hand. Trust this, dear ones. You are watching the final plays of the old dark game play out. Your lights, your focus, your vision assist in how the game plays out. The more you focus on this occurring with grace and ease, with love for all concerned, the less painful the fight will be, and the sooner the game of who has the best seat in the house will come to an end. They will all attempt to remove each other from their game of thrones, and how painful it is for humanity to watch will and is determined by your own heart. Hold them, the losing players, in compassion and understanding, knowing their hearts and minds are and were consumed by disease of greed, cultivated in the dark petri dish of fear. As light exposes the disease, many can be healed. Yes, even the darkest players are given opportunity for redemption and healing. Many will be rehabilitated and serve love. Those who cannot, whose hearts are beyond salvaging, will be exorcised and sent elsewhere for more learning. The school of earth will no longer be in session, and humanity will experience a loving summer vacation. This is the plan of light. The dark agenda is collapsing in on itself into the quicksand upon which it is built. The game, the plan of light is being constructed on, is a rock built of love, constructed with hearts purified by fire, stable, unwavering, and filled with divine purpose. The reconstruction of earth and humanity has begun. While the old game plays out in the forefront, behind the scenes, a new game, a new model, and new earth is being framed and formed. Know that all the resources to complete the framework for new earth is already in place and deliverable to framers and builders. The plans are in place and build-out has begun. The primary contractors have the resources for completion, and subcontractors will receive all the resources to build out and beautify. The spoils of the old game will be dispersed to the masses back to where the spoils were taken. The roles of pirating from the people is being reversed. Yes, it does appear on the surface that not much is happening, and yet behind the scenes, as everyone watches the final play out of the game, everything is underway for a whole new earth where only love, generosity, peace, and prosperity exist. Hold to this vision, this truth. All really is well, dear ones. All is well. Stay focused on the oneness rather than the game in the darkness, and you will see what we see. All is well. So that was the message that came in this morning, and the visual that I got as I attempted to put in there is they were showing me, the painting with the dogs playing poker, and that the dogs playing this poker game, the visual. So from the perspective that they were speaking is a perspective of the white dog. So you don't ever see this the dog with angel wings. I'm like, okay, so this is like a dog in the movie All Dogs Go to Heaven. He's got the angel wings. So it's from that perspective, from the angel's perspective, that this entire game is being shown. And so what I was seeing is the poker game with the dogs. They've got on their hats and their coats, and they're playing the game. And when one guy wins, they're high fiving each other. And so this has been it. I was getting like, this is and I don't even play poker, so I'm kind of visualizing what it is that they were trying to show me. But if you imagine like a massive poker competition, right? And there's and I know that was a big thing a few years ago. There were a whole bunch of players, and then people then they win, you end up down that final table, right, where the best of the best of the best are playing that final game at the end of the competition. And so that's what's playing out right now, or it's the final game, the final play of this game, this poker game that's been playing out for humanity for thousands of years. So now we're at this final table, and then the dogs playing poker all start fighting each other for all the money that's in the middle. And instead of being camaraderie and being a gentleman's game, they all start fighting. And so this infighting is what I was starting to see. And but no matter what they do, the side of light has that final card, that Ace of Hearts, and they have the entire royal flush of hearts. I started seeing about a week ago how the side of light has the entire royal flush. And that royal flush is going to be what wins the game. It is an unbeatable hand, but they haven't seen that final card yet. So they think they're pretty sure that one of them is going to have that final card and the whole game is going to be won. So I find it really interesting that an hour or so I got the notice that the queen has left the planet, if you will. And that also explains why I didn't see any female characters playing this game of cards. It was only male dogs, if you will. And so it feels like with her passing now, there's another person out of the game, right? And they're going to start fighting over the winnings. They're going to start fighting over what she left behind. So it's going to be really interesting moving forward as we see the rest of this old game start to collapse and crumble and folds. So I got this guidance about a year ago that the blood on their hands were going to be shown because they're starting to play their cards. And so when people start freaking out about the systems that are failing and the dark agenda that they're now starting to see, all of these different plans that the dark agenda is making for humanity, if you understand this is actually just them laying their cards out on the table. It's like, oh, okay, this card, let's just put that one out there. So you could either look at their agenda that's being played out and be afraid of what you're seeing and go into fear, or you can see their cards being laid on the table and go, I see they're exposing their plan. So they're exposing themselves in this game, and the side of light is allowing them to put all their cards out on the table, knowing that they are exposing their plans so that humanity is no longer taken by surprise. So if you start to get afraid of what you see them what's happening, and they're talking about what their agenda is, understand that the Alliance of Light, the side of light, is allowing that to happen so that people wake up to what's really going on. And that it has to happen that way so that no one's really taken that much by surprise when whatever this ace card is gets played. So I wanted to share that with all of you. I hope you find that interesting. I hope that helps to set your mind and your heart at peace a little bit more about what's happening in the world right now. And just know that in order to create this new world that is wanting to be emerged through all of us, the old world has to collapse. As I've said many times before, the butterfly does not become the butterfly without the caterpillar melting into the nothingness and reconstructing itself. And that's what's happening in the world right now. All of our old constructs are beginning to collapse so that a new earth can be created. So rather than focusing on everything that looks like all hell breaking loose, keep in mind that all hell is breaking loose, and that's a good thing. Because once hell starts breaking loose from our collective reality, we can create heaven on earth. So that's my message for today. As always, as I always say, remember to hold your light so high others can't help but see their own light. Together we are creating a world of peace, prosperity, harmony, love, freedom for all life on earth. And as always, get bold, be fearless, and live free.